ready. Whoa. And here we are.
Hi, and welcome to... Are we doing this? Are we live?
We're doing something.
All right. Well, hello. Young Marcy has pressed the button about 5 seconds too soon, so here we are.
Or we just were talking.
Oh, maybe it was us. I don't know. Yeah, I'm blaming it again on somebody else.
Marcy.
I just wasn't ready.
It was likely me. Anyway, we're here today, Energized. We talked about wanting to do it on solar, and we're just going to give a rundown on how you can get solar in your home here in Kelowna.
Yeah, so, and you've had some experience, so you're going to bring some of your experience having solar installed in your home. I went to one of our clients' customers' homes and spoke with that person who had solar installed on their home as well. So between your experience and some of the information I've gathered, hopefully we can create a little bit more clarity around, you know, what the process is, what it takes, and why you'd want to do it.
Yeah, so it's there's lots of advantages of doing it. There's a $5,600 grant that's available from the feds. There is, or is it $5,600 grant from the feds, and then a 10-year zero interest loan up to $40,000. So the system that I put on my house was a $26,000 system, close to a 9 kilowatt system.
Can we show that to
Or is it gigawatt?
Design, I guess,
Gigawatt.
if you will. There we are, your system design.
There you go, kilowatt. So there you go. That's the system size. And then, actually, I think, yeah, that's it, yeah. I think we may have went up one. I think we ended up going up different panels. This is the first design, but, I mean, it's similar. It's the same amount of panels. We went up with a higher-end panel, the 450 panels, which ended up producing a little more energy. We ended up in being the 9.2 or something in kilowatt hour, so... Yeah, so there's that loan that you can get, and this system was $26,000 less the grant, so that meant we financed $20,000, and you're basically trading your power bill for a solar payment, right? But it's tricky and it's hard to do.
Do you want to look at the next piece here? Yeah, so there's the breakdown right there. Yeah. So your net cost on that particular project, I guess that was the pre-version there, and. So utility payment with solar, $44 a month. What does that mean?
Well, that's what you'd pay now after you have the solar. Like before, I was paying about $200 a month or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I see. I get it.
Yeah. So it trades off. So you do have to do some things. You have to get an energy audit. I think they charge you like $800 or something like that, $600 or $800 for the first energy audit.
Is that that might be at risk? Like you are not guaranteed to get.
Yeah, I mean you have to that energy audit. You can't have solar in your home already, so you do that energy audit to see if your home would benefit from solar, and then you make your application, and then get a quote and all that stuff, and then you get the solar installed once everything is approved, and then you have to have the energy audit after that as well. You got to pay another, I can't remember the number, $600 or $800 for that other energy audit. And they give you a report and shows you how much energy you've saved and stuff like that. But while they do that energy report, they test your home for air pressure and stuff like that too, and leaking windows and all kinds of stuff. So.
And do you need a third-party company to go through this process for you and take you through it, or?
Well, you don't, but it sure would help probably because it's pretty cumbersome.
Yeah.
The websites are like, it's just tough to put everything in order. So hopefully if you're getting a solar company, they can kind of help walk you through it. But, you know, you have to be cautious because they're incentivized to, you know, get it going and rolling because it can be a bit cumbersome and take some time to do. And the biggest problem I think a lot of people have is that they have to outlay the money first and then they get it back after. Do you know what I mean? So that may be.
Is there a risk of not getting?
I mean, just like anything you apply for, and there's only so much funds that they have out there too. So you have to make sure you do the plan while the government still has the incentives in place.
Okay, maybe I don't know. Do you want to take a look at the video? This is the actual install process of solar at your home. Is that right?
Last week we originally had a pre-retrofit inspection done by an energy auditor. Now we're here doing our installation, and after our installation is complete, our auditor is going to come back for their post-retrofit
And then we're also putting, they didn't put them all on, but there was also panels that are going on the front face there too, on the south face. You can see the track there.
Up to 10
like
years interest-free. This is a program that's set aside through the federal government. The total amount that you can finance is up to $40,000. So if you're doing a massive project, you'll only be able to finance up to $40,000, but most projects are well under that, so you're covered.
There you go.
So when we did it, our next door neighbor ended up doing it, and he's got solar on his roof, and then two doors down, he's got it, and the guy across the street's now got it. So
did they talk to you? Did they come across the street and talk to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, that's exactly. It's funny. When I went to Lake Country to go interview this individual who brought solar into his home for energy economics.
Right.
I was looking for his house, and I could, markings on the house were a little bit hard to read. Anyways, I noticed that there was like 4 or 5 other houses right next door and surrounding that had solar, and so I was like really at a loss because they said that would be something I should be able to maybe see from the road. But anyways, the point being was I asked, was he the first in the area? Did the others come and talk to him about solar? What happened? And in every instance, they were inspired by his installation. So your neighbor's inspired by yours?
Correct.
Yeah, isn't that so? Isn't that funny though? How ideas spread like that?
Just a little ripple, right?
Yeah.
And then does it spread beyond that? It didn't yet, anyway. So.
But in little clusters, it's
yeah.
Kind of
I mean, it makes sense. Like it actually makes sense. Like solar makes sense. Like,
but people are obviously skeptical.
Like CENTS, right?
Like, well, both perhaps, right?
Yeah.
But so people are. So I think what it's saying here, though, is people are maybe a little skeptical about jumping into solar. But then when they see their neighbor and they get to see the power bill,
I think if they could ease the complexity of how you get the grants and the loans, I think it would go a lot better for people. That it's very cumbersome, not much different than most government programs through the ages. It's, they talk about these programs, they announce them, and then like people put all these layers in there, and then, because they're trying to stop people from abusing them, because they've also experienced a lot of abuse when they've done programs where people are, stealing money like crazy too. So, I just don't know, but there may be perhaps, I think we had Gord Lovegrove in here, and he said that maybe there's an opportunity for a third party to come in, like a solar kind of consultant or something that just goes out and gets you solar quotes, because there's quite a few companies now in town that are doing solar panel installs. And you can do it yourself too, not other than the electrical part. Like the panels are fairly cheap now. Like the prices, if I don't think we have that chart on here, but if you look at the price of solar panels, it's like come way off, right? Like it's very economical to do, and basically they have little mini inverters now built in. So each 2 panels have a little mini inverter underneath the panel, so you can expand your system very easy too. And the conduits run down to the side of your house through a box and all that stuff, and then the fuse. While he was there, he installed my Tesla charger too, so that was great. So we're charging our cars off of that too. We don't have any gas cars anymore, so that works great. So solar has been a really cool thing. One of the other really cool things in British Columbia is that Fortis, and we're going to see this in the next thing that you do, you're going to show that net outflow. Do you have that little thing that we can show? Yeah. That, not that one.
So that's a sample, yeah. Keep going. There we no.
That's just the end.
There we are. Oh, it's going to be the next one after this. There we are.
So you can see that this person in Summerland there,
Lake Country.
I mean, the outflow, they're pushing way more into the grid than he was pulling out of the grid, right? So
yeah, and this was July, so that would have been June probably, I think, because it was a current bill that he showed.
What you have to do, what Fortis does, is they net meter you, and then so sometimes you'll overproduce and you'll just go into the grid, and your neighbor will be actually using the energy you produce, right? And then in the winter, when there's not as much sunlight, you'll be taken from your credits. You'll be getting credited for that energy. And then,
so can you break it down then? Roughly, what were your energy bills?
I think ours was on average about $200 a month on average.
And so has it gone flush? Is it a trade off?
I haven't really looked at it. We are charging Teslas now, so that's obviously added to
increased
the load.
load.
But we've done quite a few things in our home. All LED lights. We did that a number of years ago. That really brought our power bill way down because we had lots of 75-watt floodlights in there and put LEDs in. LED was a big difference, right? So, and then we also went from like 7 people in the house to 2 of us, so obviously a lot less energy use as well. So, but now there's quite a few people back in the house. Right? So energy is definitely, like the more people in the home, and if you're charging cars and all that stuff. But
was the process disruptive for you? Was it a lot of
solar thing?
Yeah, like did it take a lot of time?
Day and a half.
Day and a half.
Day and a half from like the guy showed up.
Did you have to go without power for a day and a half, or?
No, not even for a minute. He may have when he's turned to. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think no, we didn't notice anything. But the guy that did our install installed some solar farms in Alberta. He runs his own utilities, so he went to farmers and he said, "Hey, if I put a solar farm on your farm, I won't charge you for the solar, but I'll be your energy producer, and then you pay me electrical bills." And so he's got lots of those people. I guess people said, sure.
Interesting.
And so he's running his own energy company.
Huh.
Lots of good trailer revenues, right?
Yeah.
And you're getting the panels. I think most of the panels are coming out of China, like sea cans full of them, right?
Yeah.
So China is making most of the batteries that go in electric vehicles, making the solar panels. That's why we got to get mining going here in production of these things, because that is the future. If we can tap, like if every home can produce its own energy, think of that. Like, we talk about the electrical grid not having, you hear all these excuses all the time, like there's not enough, the grid's not strong enough. Well, if everybody, or even half the people, started producing their own energy.
It would be interesting to see how that would affect that, wouldn't it? In terms of like, let's just imagine if you could ramp up the solar panel production and installation as quickly as the EV market is expected to change.
Yeah, so I would say to people, like, to be a little more urgent in their decision, because these incentives were going to go away, because EVs are coming no matter what. Like EVs, like Model Y is now the most sold car in the world. So they had incentives in there, and even Elon Musk says we don't need the incentives, but
I was going to say, once it hits sort of like a critical
mass, once it gets to like where more people are buying, they're going to take the incentives off. So in Canada, there's a like a $5,000 federal incentive and a $4,000 provincial incentive on EVs right now.
And the prices of EVs have actually come down, so it's way better than a year ago.
So, but those will not stick around. And I would say the same thing for the solar panels, right? Like, there's a grant right now for the $5,600, which is a grant, right? Like, you don't pay it back. And then that 0 interest loan over 10 years, that's pretty much, like, that makes it pretty much a no-brainer to take that risk.
You're an accountant, so you would have assessed this opportunity several different ways. Like, what do you see as being the biggest risk? Are there any?
Well, I think the biggest hurdle for most people is they don't have the $26,000 to pay up front.
Yeah.
And I think there's got to be a way to finance that, or some kind of mechanism so that people can just because I think if they walked over to you and said, "Hey, Jason, you can have this. You're just going to share a solar bill you'd say, "Sure."
Yeah.
Right? Like, why wouldn't you, right?
And that's essentially what's happening.
But if they say, "Hey, I need $26,000," you'd say, "Well, I got the kids this, that, and this, another thing," and I'm not.
And if I fail the paperwork wrong, I'm on the hook for this.
And then all of a sudden they don't get my 26, and then all of a sudden I'm going to wait 10 years to recoup my money. So
what do you think about or what do you know about the speed at which the
stuff comes through?
No, the improvements to solar. So I'm just wondering, like, you invest now in something like this, and in 5 or 10 years from now, if it's a more efficient solar panels, things are better, cheaper, all that kind of.
For sure, and they've gotten better and cheaper, and I think going to continue to get cheaper. But you can add to your solar system, like that gentleman that you had that you did that interview in Lake Country. He's added 3 times to the system, right? You can add more to the system. You have to be careful that you don't overproduce, because then Fortis looks at you as a commercial producer, and then they're going to give you a commercial rate, which is a lot lower than the net rate, right, that they're giving you. So you don't want to become like on your house. You want to produce basically what you use. Yeah. And then again, if you have a roof that has some southwesterly facing kind of like roof lines, I think it makes a lot of sense, right?
How long have you had it on now?
think it's been just June or something like that.
Yeah, okay. So
I got a little app. I can see how much energy I generate a day. I went on a lot the first couple of weeks. And then after that, it's like, okay, so cool bars. But I just think it's good for the environment too, right? Like good for, because I mean, one of the goals, again, I'm going to say people should watch Master Plan 3 from Tesla or Elon. And it explains that his goal is to empower people to become their own energy producer, and that's the whole thing will be working around the car and the power walls and all that kind of stuff and storing of energy and the car will drive itself and go to work for you and all kinds of stuff. Just think about it. If your car doesn't need a parking space, it goes to work while you're at work. If you're producing all the energy you need, those are big costs that people typically pay. Like if you think about what you're paying, well, you have an EV too, but I mean, we were paying, probably close to between, the two of us, like $700-800 a month in fuel, right? That we're not paying anymore.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and
which can go right to your payments on a EV.
Correct. We basically traded our cars for, like traded them in, and it, like mine is the base model. So I mean, I ended up with net money on mine, right? Because I traded in a big truck for a little car. I bought the lowest end Model 3, but that Model 3 is a very nice car. Like, you know what I mean? Like for
like when you talk about like lowest end, it's not.
It's their entry level car, but it's pretty damn nice, right? It's got everything you could ask for in a car. Nothing's missing.
Does it have floor mats?
It had 4 minutes, we've been told. We only have a little bit of time because we got the 4 o'clock news coming up. But I think that the point of this is we're going to do more on solar. But if you have questions, if this twigged a little bit and you want to come in, or if you want to come on here and chat about solar, and we're going to answer some questions. We're going to have Gord Lovegrove on here too, because he said a lot of his engineering buddies have put solar in the home, and he said a lot of people just can't figure out how to get it done.
Yeah.
So we're going to help more people understand solar and perhaps get it on their houses.
And Summerland has just taken some big strides, right?
Summerland has put in their own little solar utility company.
Yeah. So we'll be talking to them too and learning more about that. So
awesome.
Lots to learn. And in a sunny environment like the Okanagan, it certainly seems to make a lot of sense.
And until then, stay energized. Charged.